The one election victory, how May's snap election saved the Union and destroyed Sturgeon. Theresa May's election gamble failed to pay off as she would have hoped, but it seems at least one of the reasons she called the ballot has been justified. The Prime Minister saw her slender Commons majority wipe out and the Conservatives return to power as a minority government, propped up by Northern Ireland's DUP. But while her hopes of entering Brexit negotiations with a clear mandate were dashed, the results in Scotland may provide some consolation for the chastened Tory leader. Back in April, when Mrs May announced the surprise snap election, it was reported one of the key reasons behind her decision was to finally end the ceaseless calls for a second Scottish independence referendum by Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP. Scottish Conservative leader Ruth Davidson is believed to have personally helped persuade the Prime Minister that she could cause real damage to Miss Sturgeon's campaign by creating a referendum on another referendum. If the SNP lost seats in Westminster, she reasoned, it would seriously undermine Miss Sturgeon's claim to have a mandate to run Scotland, where her party has no overall majority. And the call, at least on Ms Davidson's part, appears to have been a canny one. If last night's results were seen as a disaster for Mrs May, then it was not much better for Ms Sturgeon. The SNP lost more than a third of the seats it won just over 2 years ago in the 2015 election, plunging from 56 MPs to 35, a drop of 21 seats. Former First Minister Alex Salmond, who led the unsuccessful independence campaign in 2014, was one of 2 high-profile SNP members to lose their seat. Deputy SNP leader Angus Robertson was also ousted. The party's share of the vote also plunged north of the border, from 50% in 2015 to 36.9% this time out. By contrast, Ms Davidson's Conservatives enjoyed a huge surge, gaining an additional 12 seats and enjoying a 28.6% share of the vote, up from 14.9% in 2015. Labour also clawed back some of the ground it lost 2 years ago, winning 6 new seats and a 27.1% vote share. In all, it has left the SNP significantly weaker and plans for a second referendum effectively dead in the water. Last night, a triumphant Ms Davidson told the BBC, "There was one big issue in this campaign and that was Nicola Sturgeon trying to ram through a second independence referendum in March and the country's reaction to that. And I think we've seen the country's reaction in the number of SNP seats that have fallen. Indirect 2 is dead. That's what's happened tonight." Even Ms Sturgeon was forced to concede that her endless campaigning for independence was undoubtedly a factor in the election results, and that she would reflect carefully on the losses before making any decisions. And she admitted there was a degree of force in the suggestion by an ITV journalist that the popular vote in Scotland showed the pro-union vote was in the ascendancy. The SNP polled 978,000 votes compared to the 1.7 meters cast for the Conservatives, Labour and the Lib Dems, who all oppose a second referendum. Today, after speaking to Theresa May about forming an alliance, DUP leader Arlene Foster could not resist a dig at Ms Sturgeon and the SNP. She said, "Yesterday also represented a great result for the Union both here and right across the United Kingdom." Ms Foster claimed the results sent a clear and resounding message to the people who are trying to tear our union apart. Thanks you for watching.